The general premise of this show is about an ongoing exploration of my practice as a father and also as a mixed relationship with the world. Most of the works I made during the pandemic, during the 2 years of lockdown, and at the same time, the recurring project that I have been doing pre-pandemic. So I come across with this text about active shadows. And then this is interestingly na the shadows that we have is actually something that we always connect with, even though, we know that there's a shadow. The shadow is not there if there's no light. So in the idea of making the project, I thought of the idea of lightness. Lightness meaning the source of light, but also the idea of lightness as feather. This idea of lightness also parang respond to my practice as an artist na it's always recurring, it always goes back, it's parang may circulation. Most of my projects also deals a lot with the idea of collection or collecting the different notion of gestures like scratchings, erasing, imprinting, thumb marks, this light gesture that respond to materiality also. So like found maps, found musical sheets, like t-shirt, found materials sa streets and everything. I'm interested with this notion of shadows kasi shadows, it depends on the perspective kung paano tumatama yung light sa object. And it depends also on how you see. It also corresponds now, especially the idea of disinformation and revisionism. Now, these shadows depends on this active agent that how you see it. Not historically yung what I'm showing here, but it's more onto the idea of more relationship with the world now. So working with my son, working with the materials, what I have on this particular moment or time. So, I come across with the story of activists who were jailed during martial law. And I want to connect this idea of this materiality of the musical sheets and also the story that I found and also the location of this gallery. It used to be a military camp, this BGC. And there's a lot of stories and it's historical facts that many activists were jailed here during the martial law period. So I'm interested on this different layers of stories and materiality. And of course, as an artist, I want to create my own narrative creatively or imaginatively because as an artist, I want to go beyond what is the story and maybe create more dialogue about these stories, not only facts. Facts are important, but go beyond these facts so we can create more dialogue. So the story was activists who were caught. There's an inside joke among them na magpapiano daw sila sa loob. And then the meaning of that piano is taking the fingerprints, taking their identities. So playing this idea of piano, fingerprints. So I come up with this video installation with the material. So it's also interesting because the material itself has a lot to do with different stories kasi we experience things to material things. It's an extension of how we live. Sometimes it's discarded, itatapon na lang, or sometimes it's recycled. But for me, material things or the materiality itself is important aspect for me in art making. But after art making, you also think of exhibition making. So I thought of the space. This used to be a camp. This used to be a land. So it connects also with this series of maps that I'm doing, the code series. I'm erasing different text that is imprinted on that map. This idea of markings, erasing, also connects to what's happening now in the idea of social and political situation now, like land grabbing, development, like gentrification. But I only deal with the material. So I think the materiality is the missing point when you talk about these issues. And sometimes these material things has a connecting point to how we live and also connect with the home exhibition for Yoji. We did it as a collaboration with my son during the pandemic. The material objects are the one going around. It's not the people who goes around. It's really the food, the packaging and everything are the one being distributed and redistributed and circulated. But we were forced to be inside the houses. So I thought of using everyday material objects that is connected to the experience of what happened during the lockdown. So I think it goes back to the art making of the arte povera, installation. I'm also interested on how Brenda Fajardo said that it reflects to the time when you use the materials. It's not only the issue or the concept, but also how you use the material. Because I was trained as an advertising practitioner, not studio art. So my practice is, in a way, I think, flexible. But also this flexibility makes me think on how to continue the project. So that's why many of my projects are in a series, parang recurring. Sometimes it will stop, but at next time I will revisit. So I think I like the idea of revisiting because it's maybe connected for me also. I'm not from Manila, so revisiting hometowns. So I like the idea of revisiting, recurring, and yeah, always goes back, like the idea of breathing, the circulation. So in that way, every time I exhibit the work, I always mix with old and new. So parang, to create this, not transition, pero may parang connecting points in different, not concept, but in a different time also.